Hello everyone and welcome back to Ginger Rated. I posted a teaser for this episode on my Instagram around a month ago from the date I'm recording this, and especially after the Instagram poll I posted in which majority had ended up picking the 16th for this to be uploaded, it's about time I hurried to finish it up. After overcoming bumps of busyness and bouts of procrastination, here it is now. So let's get started, shall we? YouTuber Academy had been on my to-cover list for a while now, and I picked it out to talk about today due to the small amount of episodes that seemed easy for me to digest and discuss. The series is currently about students going to a dedicated How to Be a YouTuber type academy, in which some go through rivalry drama and some just try to achieve their goals and milestones successfully. One trailer and 2 episodes have been released up to date, but unfortunately it seems that the creator, Angel Edits, is currently inactive and I have yet to receive or know about anything regarding their situation. Nonetheless, continued or discontinued, this review will serve as a case study for those who want to improve their own works, as all of my Ginger Rateds are purposed for. So without further ado, here we go. Skipping past the first minute of episode 1, since anyways it's just a shortened version of the trailer, the first scene that we see is of Madison introducing herself. It very much gives off Disney Channel show vibes where the main character of some high school teen drama gives a self-introduction, and these always feel pretty similar to each other. Here, it's like, yes, so this is my name, this is what I do, I have this many subscribers, but I don't think I deserve them. This is what I want to achieve, and then, we're here at our destination, the story's moving on now. This kind of thing is everywhere, very common in gacha, and it's a really generic formula. The whole I don't deserve it thing just doesn't give me the good vibes either. It's quite pick-me in terms of delivery, and it's just a whole nother discussion for later. There's nothing wrong with the intro, but to me, it's simply not compelling nor unique to the character at all, and you don't want people thinking that, especially for main character introductions. From the scene where Madison walks into campus to the one where shit goes down between blue-haired gamer kid and music girl, it's all feeling quite flat. Like, you can sense there should be some kind of tension in these types of scenes from the way the interaction is going, but it's not really that exciting. There isn't much going on audio-wise except for the raw lines, and there's not much dramatic flair in the editing. We kinda just watch them stand in front of each other and exchange insults for 30 seconds, like a legit minute. They just watch them stand and move their hands, and that's it. Some scenes lack in emphasizing the moment and lack in dynamic editing, which results in a scene that gets the basic point across, but ultimately doesn't do a whole lot in impact. I also have some qualms with the atmosphere and the dialogue exchange in general, but that will come a bit later on. I felt it would be fitting to touch on the whole concept of the system here in YouTuber Academy in this scene where the headmaster explains the rules and requirements to the students. With every school, even fictional, milestones and requirements make sense. But there is a flaw to be discussed with the one here. Having 100Ks reach 500K isn't the tallest order, but if anyone with over 1 million were to be told to reach double that, that would be quite challenging already. Numbers in different ranges don't work the same. People can reach a subscriber plateau or hit a ceiling where they've reached a certain audience capacity. And even if your content is good, it'd be hard to grow organically after that without using tricks like buying subs or giving into cheap gimmicks. The key would definitely be, of course, luck, but more exposure and better promotion would be very helpful. But if they wanted that, then they should have gone to a business class or just get themselves a manager. The school's environment will surely teach the students to be hyper aware about numbers and views. And like what anyone who knows what being a YouTuber is like will tell you, that is an incredibly harmful mindset to have. The school should really not cultivate a numbers over content mentality. Not only will people care too much about a sub goal, it's promoting a sense of superiority from big sub counts, and students will end up too competitive and toxic to others. For an example of toxic rivalry, look at the character conflict in episode 2, where the blue-haired dude is absolutely rotten to Blondie because of their competing sub counts. It's really, he's getting cancelled on Twitter. He would have been cancelled on Twitter a long time ago. But I do talk about more of this rivalry later on. In the description, it says, Madison Kennel is a young girl who runs an animation channel with the hopes of working with big animation companies in the future, such as Pixar and Disney. I thought, if that was the case, if that was her dream, she should be going to an animation school. If YouTube is just her side hoe, she shouldn't go to an academy for it. She should go to a special arts and animation institution. Everyone in this YouTuber academy is better off going to a place that would help them better their skills and content. Even a simple business class and marketing workshop would help more, and they wouldn't need to be in the school. An argument could be that the school provides an all-in-one experience for everything I've mentioned, and I do hope that's the case. But the curriculum would be too much of an assortment of subjects if it wanted to actually better everyone's skill in content. Would it even be possible to have training for every genre and subgenre of channel topics out there in one school? I suppose not. And even so, in Madison's case, an education and graduate degree from a renowned animation university would look better on her applications to Disney and Pixar, so I really don't know why she's in this school. But you see, I'm positive many entitled perks will graduate from the school if they don't manage students' behavior alongside their numbers. And even if they manage them well, it's just the thing about their content. They can't make everyone's content better, nor are they really a business class kind of school. So this would definitely work better as a workshop or training camp kind of thing, and not an actual institution or academy. The setup for Jackie's first impression on Madison that serves as a transition into their friendship feels a little bit unrealistic. Madison tripping up the dude and those three making a big deal out of it already feels unrealistic because yeah, he tripped, but no one really gives a shit, to be honest. Jackie did probably feel satisfied seeing him eat dust from the floor, but I doubt she'd go up to the person that made him do so, as after all, it was an unintentional mistake, and I don't know, thanking some stranger for tripping up another person on accident feels like a strange first conversation. And owing Madison one for it, I don't really know if that's how it works, but I guess it could pass. It just doesn't stand super strong to me. Although I must say, the exposition that follows is set up very smoothly. It feels like it does belong in a natural flow of conversation, albeit it's still very weird of Madison to not know these things and not look into them. It works, but would have worked better if Madison had a more understandable reason to not know these things other than, oh, I was just too unbothered to understand how anything worked at all. I'm sure I've mentioned this in a past Shinjirated already, but it's very common to have the roommate end up being the main character's best friend due to just how convenient the setup is. It doesn't stray far from real life, as many people befriend their roommates and get along very well, but this trope is pretty, as I've said before, common. It's never a crime, but it'd be nice to spice up the setup for the relationships and how the characters are connected to each other in your own stories. In the same conversation, while I was reacting for the first time, I was picking up a couple hints and setups that I'm not sure if were actually hints, but they feel like they are. Stellar was talking about wanting to make her own game and wishing she knew how to draw or make music, which is coincidentally the hobbies of the other two protagonist girls we know. It is very likely this was set up to have them work together on something in a future episode or in their future in general. If that's the case, it is not too bad to have a predictable setup. It's nice that the setup was attempted after all. but for now, it's only an interesting theory to have. And I wasn't sure where to put this point, but Madison feels like she's more a writer than she is an artist. She wants to animate so that she can tell her stories, but telling her own stories is ultimately not what she'll be doing in an animation studio. She'd be telling someone else's story. In animation, shouldn't love for the art form and love to create be the reason you want to go into an animation studio like Disney? Shouldn't she instead just want to create her own animation studio? Be an animation director or writer if telling your stories is her goal? I'm not sure, but man, her life path is not aligning with her trajectory right now. This is also kind of an afterthought, but I think I've mentioned this in the past already, so I'll be brief with it here. While reviewing the episodes to write the script, I noticed in many scenes, having realized it fully in this scene, that the editing in the scenes between the characters is kinda static. You should have movement together with the dialogue, not just arm gestures and facial expressions, but for example, we could have had this conversation while they were moving their stuff into the room or cleaning and tidying up the room. That way, the conversation would have been more dynamic and engaging. It would have flowed better due to the natural conversation cues that go with moving in. And that way, it wouldn't have been just two people sitting on two sides of a room, and we wouldn't have had to be forced to focus on his less than stellar, see what I did there, dialogue. But yes, movement is important in every scene, and you should consider framing or editing it visually. So it's taken me until the end of episode 1 to go, oh hey, there's like no romance here, which is a first. I'm actually kind of proud of it since we've gone several ginger rated with romance at least somewhat involved. If it gets introduced later on, well, we're not sure there's going to be a later on because the creator's been inactive, but hypothetically speaking, if there was a future and there was romance, I would have rathered it to have stayed not having any romance because it's just fresh. It's just fresher without the romance. People focusing on achieving their dreams is nowadays more compelling than another teen romance drama where they're probably just gonna fucking argue with each other for 10 episodes. Case in point.
Is everything alright? You're staring at that girl.
No, everything is not all right, Elijah. Do you know who she is?
I'm afraid I don't.
That girl is Stellar System, my #1 competitor on Twitch.
Oh? And you're not friends with her?
What? No! She's my rival, idiot. I don't do friends. There's no way I'm being put in a group with that untalented blonde bimbo.
Right back at ya, you overbearing midget!
Midget? I am 5'5".
4.
4, thank you.
This whole scene is giving me a lot to talk about. There are a multitude of games out there with a multitude of genres with different audiences and demographics for each. So pretty sure you could share a little bit. There are FPS games, indie horror games, open world adventures, and RPGs. I doubt that every single game out there will be watched by all the same people. It doesn't make sense how he's like, I'm not gonna let her steal my spot, when that doesn't really need to happen. It doesn't need to happen even if they play the same game, because you don't see Aphmau squaring it up with people from the Dream SMP just because they all play Minecraft. Gamers can live in peace with other gamers. People want different gamers because that's just more content. And overall, the ecosystem for your community is better. I really don't see where this mindset is coming from. Elijah going, and you're not friends with her, in the scene suggests that influencers in this world are aware of the benefits being friends with each other are, and that the idea for these two is not off the table. But man, it sounds like Blue Hair Dude is talking too much like a business owner. I know a while ago I said you should be taking a business class, but this is not the mindset you should be taking away from the business class. In real life, in business, for example, you're running a company selling water. You'd want your company to be the main distributor of the water and be the water people favor to buy. It would make sense if you didn't want to work with other drink companies so that your water business stays on top, because the others could take away customers you could have for your product. But when it comes to content, people are going to watch different content creators whether you like it or not. They're going to drink different drinks whether you like it or not. This might not even affect you that much because people can multitask. People can watch different things at the same time, like how people can have multiple friends at the same time. This really shouldn't be a problem. Big or small subscriber gap, it really shouldn't affect you as a creator. And all this only makes sense as this dude's ego talking too loudly. The concept is being executed with what for me is an expired mindset. But it can still be explored more and it can still work out as long as the them being rivals plotline isn't super dramatized. Speaking of Stellar, episode 1 was more of an introduction to her personality and at some bits just a shallow showcase, but episode 2 really highlights her internal conflict as a character. Stellar is a character with struggles that are not overused, instead struggles that are talked about but not talked about enough, therefore leaving room for exploration on the topic and more room for unique growth and concept discussion. Her whole struggle with being viewed as materialistic, useless, and being objectified is a real thing. It connects to me as a real thing, and I'm sure viewers can empathize with her. I'm glad that this is the episode's focus. Now, there is a lot of potential in Stellar's situation for more conflict and development as the plot progresses. I find the mean girly here to be quite harmless. Abrupt observation to make in the middle of an episode, I know, but really, we haven't seen her interact with the main characters, we don't really know her intentions, and honestly, she just comes across as someone there to fill in character archetypes and to provide the audience some laughs. Not everything needs a purpose, but she's a whole-ass character, so you do wonder what her role in the story really is. Nonetheless, she's here and we'll just have to see if she's responsible for any major conflict in the future. I don't really like criticizing voice acting with proper details because, yeah, I'm not really experienced, and I also don't want to make comments that could possibly have someone be more conscious about their voice's details. But for this instance, I'll share my opinions as it is a consistent thing I've noticed in the series. Not sure if it's just a personal nitpick, but here. There are several moments where lines are delivered too emotionally. Emotions are good to express, but if they lack proper triggers and the intensity of the lines aren't controlled properly, it won't sound like they're getting projected well. Sometimes sounding theatrical works, and sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the genre or situation, but when it comes to teen dramas, being natural is key, and it's best to keep the intensity as somewhat casual and realistic as a whole. Many gacha voice actors are still teenagers or younger adults, so you can just talk how you would in real life unless your director stresses otherwise. Okay, I have a little hot take or a suggestion here. So I used to see voice actor castings have the role requirements say something vague, like mid to high pitch range voice. And then that's it. That's all they put in the voice details after lightly describing the character's personality. In which case, auditionees would probably just use that typical, overused, bubbly voice since the creator didn't give the role any unique vocal description. I think that's why a lot of characters from gacha series end up sounding the same, cause firstly, the description isn't that detailed, and then the VAs just use the same archetype and stereotypical voice of that kind of character. And I feel this happens especially with inexperienced voice actors. Delivery is separate from vocal color, and if all the difference they can do to their voice is the pitch, then might as well have a try at doing a casting where people apply with their natural voice. There may be more variation to sift through in that way, and possibly more unique accents in the casting. There'd still need to be specificities and changes in the way they project because that'd depend on the character's writing. But I feel like it'd be a fun experiment to just let voices shine. Do I make sense? I don't know if I'm communicating this properly, but that's just a personal opinion, a little theory, a little suggestion I wrote here on the spot. It makes sense to me, and I think that's kind of what I want to do for my future projects. There was this one scene in the middle of the episode that I liked in terms of visual quality. It was one where a few things were getting explained with the characters' floating heads. This scene looked different than the rest in my opinion because of how clean it looks. And although it was a good little part, it actually ended up emphasizing the lower quality of the rest of the episode. Not like the episode was low quality at all, but the episode was just a little bit blurred, which I would assume is probably because of the edits on green screen or some kind of low screenshot quality. This could definitely be improved on in the future, but even if it isn't, and even if that's the best quality we can have, it wouldn't be too much of a bad thing. It's just something that I noticed. The atmosphere of some scenes in this episode also felt a bit flat, and I'm not sure how many times I've mentioned atmosphere in my videos or in my written advice before. Atmosphere is a word I've used commonly that I'm not sure if people get what I mean whenever I use it. Sometimes I'm not even sure what I mean when I use it, but I'm gonna give it a definition now. Basically, whenever I use the word atmosphere, especially when I say that the atmosphere feels a little flat, it means that the mood and the tone, which are what make up a scene or story's atmosphere, isn't doing a whole lot to pull someone in or connect them to the emotions in the story or scene. It means something isn't immersive enough to me, or it's not conveying what it's trying to convey in a way that connects properly. In the context of this series, a lot of why the atmosphere isn't really sticking is due to 1, the lack of visual and intensity editing, like what I mentioned a while back with the whole white room syndrome where all we do is sit and watch people talk. And speaking of talking, 2, the fact that the dialogue isn't the best. Maybe sitting and watching people stand and talk would work out somehow, but it really doesn't here because the dialogue also falls flat at times. There is a number of reasons as to why I can't connect to these things, but the staleness of some setups really contributes to it. Before we get into why the dialogue just ain't it for me, there are positive things I appreciate about the dialogue here. We all know how info dumping is super common and super lame in many other gacha series and first episodes out there. I like how the information here is evenly spread out and communicated in the conversations little by little. Although the information is rather simple, it's still done decently in distributing exposition and letting the conversations feel useful. Many of the conversations here have purpose, and that's a great thing. Many lines are also self-aware about themselves or the situation, which is something I love to see. What makes it not as good is how the dialogue is sometimes just corny or predictable, and at times cliché and with no tension. There are lines that just feel strange to listen to, and I reckon a good chunk of it is due to word choice and line choice. I usually point out filler words whenever I look over someone's script, which includes stuff like overusing oh, I mean, well, and so on. But there are words used here like bleh, ehehe, whatever you say, or whatever floats your boat, and more that I would classify as the generic gacha dialogue. These words are overused and just doesn't translate well to voice acting because some sound too childish. Some of these you'd think could be acceptable, which I guess they are, but realistically they could be replaced with something more mature. To me, they ruin tension because they're not personal and unique expressions made by the characters. Instead, they are copy and paste. Actually, this is a problem that is not personal to the show. This kind of dialogue has always had no personality, originating from the influence of copy and paste gacha mini-movie conversations. It would be better for everyone for creators to step away from that influence and write with better inspirations in mind. There is not enough time to go into making dialogue better in this video, but there are many writing craft videos on YouTube that suggest methods on how to make yours better. An example that I could give that could result in better dialogue is working on making comedy intentionally unintentional. The humor works better when it's delivered during the genuine flow of a conversation in the right moment. Don't use those goofy-ass copy and paste, this can be inserted in any situation even if it doesn't fit here type jokes. If it's not a forced joke and instead relies on timing, irony, and unique situational comedy, it comes out more naturally. Actually, a lot of my qualms with the series is mostly in its first episode, as the second episode just felt like a more improved product, plus the exchanges and dynamic between blue-haired boy and Stellar do hold weight to me. She's a character delivered with passion, and overall, the internal stakes in that episode just made it better. Stellar had been presented as an airhead in episode 1, but let's be honest, she's at least cute and has more personality than the main character. Madison is just the generic gacha female lead. A doormat, soft, apologetic, awkward, clumsy, ignorant, quirky, pick-me. Stellar has internal conflict, goals, and makes a statement in episode 2. Madison has no internal conflict, a goal that doesn't really make sense with her desires, and has too little relevant screen time, showing not much potential. Stellar feels like she has a reason to be here to prove herself. Madison feels like her hand is being held by the plot and the plot is only carrying her through everything. Most of the other dynamics in this show without our girl boss Blondie isn't that compelling to me. There's potential in Blue Hair and Elijah's dynamic. Madison's with Jackie has potential to grow, but the reason behind that friendship doesn't sell me. And Madison and Stellar kinda work, but they need more bonding time together. In my humble opinion, Stellar carries. I titled this video with the line Stellar carried because Stellar represents the potential the story has for depth. Her character is a parallel to the generic elements that are littered all throughout the series. You can accuse me of having low standards because I do at this point for gacha series, but for now, I am trusting that potential. The potential to have this kind of character be executed well. If in the future she fails to turn into a strong and profound character, well, that's really a shame. And as for Madison, it's not too late to introduce depth to her character, it'll just feel a little off with the pacing. Honestly, who knows, her well-writtenness may just be waiting to come out. I doubt if you can fix how average she's been so far, but hey, there's always improvement in trying. Again, genericness of the structure, scenes, and dialogue isn't the show's original fault. I will say the series is a good example of what some average gacha mini-movie writing looks and sounds like, something that you'd expect from some non-voice acted high school drama-themed mini-movie. I probably enjoyed the writing less than a text-only series because even though it has the added spark of voice actors and their delivery of the comedic moments, it offers nothing more and it's nothing new right now. I'd love for it to explore the things the YouTuber school concept has to offer, because there are already many possibilities and plot lines waiting to be followed up, like pressure with hitting the milestone in burnout that could be discussed in creative ways and in good points. At least there's the subscriber count goal which the plot can form around, but instead of teen drama and competition, there should be emphasis on the conflict of struggles one would have in the YouTube career lifestyle. Something like Stellar's inner conflict is a perfect thing to discuss in writing. I just don't want to see the show wholly focusing on people fighting with each other and being dicks to each other. At that point, it shouldn't be called YouTuber Academy, it'd become some random high school filled with kids that happen to be YouTubers. Right now, the story doesn't give me enough things to get excited on talking about because the setup doesn't build up much action or expectations, especially with the main character that doesn't have a distinctive passion or goal to her. The writing for this needs reworking. There's potential, but those are only possible directions. Looking at what's concretely in the show, it could be better executed. But potential is still potential, and I could see the improvement from episode 1 to episode 2, and the concept here can really be delivered in an interesting way. There are only 2 episodes right now, and the personal conflicts can be introduced in the future. Well, if there is a future to the series. I don't think things can be lost causes this early on, and eventually more practice, experience, and of course, time can create better quality content. At the end of the day, series like these are mainly for fun entertainment. We look over them critically to better improve and take away important lessons for our own writing, but there's nothing wrong with enjoying them as the creator's form of self-expression and creativity. So that will be it for YouTuber Academy, and I wish the creator well wherever they are now. And that will be it for this Ginger Rated on YouTuber Academy. You might think this kind of sounds weird. Well, yeah, I'm recording it like the night before I'm uploading it, which I said it would be on the 16th. It's like fucking 25th already. Sorry about that. The universe just finds ways. And when I say finds ways, I don't mean it positively, because the amount of times I've said I was gonna upload it, I was gonna finish it, did not happen. I think I'm cursed. But anyways, hopefully this video doesn't deter the creator from actually coming back onto YouTube, because I actually am really rooting for Stellar's development and series development in general. This also took longer than expected to put out because of course it did, but I am always planning more content to post for you guys, so just look out for that. Speaking of things planned, I don't know if I should mention it right now, but I think I will make like a separate video, but there's going to be something going on where you could like DM me for writing advice, which I'll just leave it at that because I'm probably gonna make a separate video anyways. I have my Instagram where you could look at upload teasers or like personal stories that I post. They're more personal, so if you wanna get to know me, you can go over there. And on my Discord, you can also message me. I have my Discord server too. We have lovely members. I'm not super active, but I see your chats, so yeah. I think that's it. It's pretty late, that's why my voice sounds weird, so you no need to worry about that. But that will be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and got something from it. It's been a lovely time as always. I'll see you soon with more videos, so do stay tuned. Goodbye!